Slipping up doesn't mean that you failed. It's part of the process. What matters most is how you get back on track. And that's what we're talking about today, slipping up and getting back on track. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode, and I'm so excited that you've joined me for day number 28 on my 100-day walk to consistency. Hey, I've got to tell you, this is what we're doing. As we are moving through this process, we're learning how to be stronger. We're building a better version of ourselves. We're building a more consistent, more reliable version of ourselves. The story we tell ourselves is what's important. And before we jump into our talk, I want to let you know that consistency is your key. It is your superpower to be able to set yourself up for success. So let's go ahead and let's get on our walk. We'll see you on the trail. Hey, so it is after work again, and I'm just kind of walking through and just going through doing what we do. So today we're talking about slipping up and what do we do? How do we get back on track? Why it happens, really, okay? So slip-ups are part of the process. I think the first thing to recognize is that that is the case. If we don't recognize that slip-ups will happen, then we're actually setting ourselves up for lots of difficulty and a lot more distress than we have to, because then we're not expecting it. It's a complete, total surprise to us, and that's not where we want to be, right? We want to, as we talked about routines, we want to set ourselves up for success. And so all the things that are possible in our daily walk, in our daily lives, we want to begin putting things in place. And we can't account for everything, but there's some things that we know that are going to happen. So slip-ups will happen. Now, why do they happen? Well, the first thing is life is unpredictable. Right? Life is unpredictable. I think I mentioned to you guys, or at least I've been saying, that I've had to really look at and adjust my calendar, adjust my schedule, so that I can get my walk in consistently, so that we can do this, I can do these videos. And so I've had to make some major changes in how I do things. Now, they were changes I probably needed to have made anyway. So I just dropped something. There's some changes that I needed to have made anyway, right? To set myself up for better success, to be more resilient, all the things that we talked about. But because there was not a need at the time, or at least I felt there wasn't a need, then they weren't done. And so because I had to make adjustments in order to be consistent, then that was done. And so now, hey, I'm doing some other things. So in the process of doing that, there were some unexpected things that I found. Right? So it's kind of like that domino. You change one thing and then you find you got to change something else, and then something else, and then something else, and then something else. But there were some unexpected things that came out, and so I had to make adjustments in other places. So life is unpredictable. There are stresses that are going to come up. So we're talking about why slips happen. Stresses are going to come up, and as they come up, then we're going to respond to them based on the tools that we have access to, based on the routines that we have built, based on the habits that we have. And so sometimes those routines, those habits, cause us to fall into old behaviors. And so we have what we call a slip, okay? That is falling into a pattern that we don't want to have, right? There's a whole nother conversation that we'll have about that idea, but because of stress. And one of the reasons for what we're doing, one of the reasons for this 100-day of consistency, you've heard me talk about that manual that you're developing. The manual that you're developing, it involves having tools. And because you will have better tools, then you're more likely to do things in different ways, okay? And so that is one of the benefits of practicing and using those tools, not just when we think they're needed, but we're practicing them so that when they're needed, we can just pull those out of our bag of tricks. Okay, so stress happens, life happens, fatigue happens. When we get tired, we tend to be less resilient. We tend to have less energy to make decisions, right? Decision fatigue is a real thing. And so because we're fatigued, because we're tired, then we end up having a slip. And the slip happened, the situation was there to cause the slip to happen, but it wouldn't have happened if we weren't fatigued, or it would have been less likely, I guess, let me say it that way. But because we're fatigued, then now that slip happens, and we kind of fall back into those patterns, okay? The unexpected circumstance we talked about, and that can throw you off track. That can throw you for a loop. Triggers, emotional triggers, as we've mentioned before. All of those are reasons why people can have slip-ups, okay? The key idea there, though, is accepting that slip-ups will happen and setting yourself in a position where you have thought about, well, what do I do if I do have a slip-up? Very, very, very important, okay? So common triggers for slip-up. Lack of time, right? We feel pressured. This is particularly pronounced for us when we are procrastinating, okay? Because remember, procrastination compresses the time that we have. And when we compress time with a particular task, then guess what? Yeah, we're gonna be stressed, and that stress can cause us to have, quote unquote, what we call a slip up. Okay, so stress, overcommitment is another one, and like I mentioned, I've got to work on that overcommitment, because the tendency is for us to, yeah, sure, I'll do that. This fall, I started working on every fall, I shouldn't say this fall, but every fall, I begin working on what I'm doing for the next year, right? So Labor Day is the time when I kind of put all of those things in place and begin working. Of course, I walked around to this side where the guy's working again. So I put all those things in place, and as I'm doing that, I'm getting contacted by people who want me to do different things. Now, I'm very much into education, and so unless I am completely booked and completely tied up, I will tend to include things in my calendar. But that puts me in a position where I tend to overcommit. It still gets done, but because of that, then my anxiety, my stress level goes up. I'm gonna kind of walk back this way, see if we can get away from some of that sound. But yeah, overcommitment is one of those things that happens that will cause a slip up. In fact, I was talking to somebody just today, and we were discussing the common issue that we both have of eating mindlessly when we're working, when we're stressed. Yeah, and you may find that that's the case for you as well. That when you get stressed, you mindlessly eat. Okay, so stress. Common triggers where we are. So recognizing the triggers allows you to circumvent, short circuit your response, or your reaction, I guess I should say, to the trigger. And so you want to be sure that you are doing all those things that are needed to set yourself up for success. All right. Now I think so let's do this now that the sound is way back there, right? Let's do this. So what are some common triggers for slip-ups? So some common triggers are stress, right? Feeling overwhelmed, burnout, overcommitment. All of those are things that can happen where we feel like, oh my goodness, I need something to buffer. I need something to soothe me. I need something to calm me. I need something to step between me and this feeling. And so we begin buffering. So slip-ups happen because of stress, because we're overwhelmed, because we've overcommitted to things. And the slip-up really, and when we're saying slip-up, we're talking about going back to behaviors that are not in keeping with the direction that we want to go, okay? So it may not be that you are overeating or hypersexual, or that you are overspending or gambling too much. It could be that you've just given up on your walk, that it's been 2-3 days now that you have not gotten out, you've not done the workbook, you've not done the challenges. So when we're talking about slip-ups, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about any of those behaviors that we now do that takes us away from the direction that we want to go. And that's what we're terming as a slip-up, okay? So those are some common reasons that slip-ups happen. So you might have a stressful day, and that leads you to, so can I tell about myself? Okay. So on my way home, there is a gas station that's right off the highway. When I get off and I make a left to go to down the road to my house. And you can sometimes tell the kind of day I've had by whether I stop at that gas station or not. If I stop there, yeah, it's been one of those days. There's a whole ritual that goes along with that, by the way. If I didn't stop there, okay, things are probably a good day. But that's one of the things that happens, right? It's an indication that I don't have a robust mechanism for dealing with some of the things that may happen during the day, okay? So how do we bounce back? How do we bounce back after a slip-up? And there are a host of things that we can talk about. There's a whole literature on getting back on track, on bouncing back. In fact, we've done videos on that as well. But some common things that we know has to happen if we're going to get back on track, if we're going to bounce back. Number one, you don't stay, you don't dwell, you don't perseverate on the mistake. Yep. There's this common thing that I was told when I was coming through school, particularly as I got into medical school and started taking exams for my boards and for all the things that we do. I was taking a program, going to an exam program, a review program, and the instructor said, many of you will not do as well as you could because you're going to get a question wrong. And we were always like, okay, if I get a question wrong, that's not a problem. But he said, here's the problem. You're going to get a question wrong, and you are not going to stop thinking about that question. And you're going to take that thought into the next question. And because you're distracted, you're going to miss that question. And you're going to be confused, and it's going to be irritating, and you're going to take that into the next question. And that question you're going to get wrong. Not because you didn't know the answer, but because you weren't focused and because emotions got in the way. Yep. So how do we get back on track? How do we get over a slip up? How do we get past the slip up? How do we get back into the saddle? We get into the saddle, we get back on track because we're not dwelling on that thing that happened. It happened. It happened. It is a thing that happened. And it may happen again, but I can't stay there, right? I can't stay there. If you've not heard my story about being, of going whitewater rafting, I think I did tell that story, right? So it wasn't until I couldn't breathe under that raft that I let go. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know where the rapids would take me, but I knew I couldn't stay there. And so we can't stay there. It is not the place that we need to be, right? So number one, we can't dwell on the mistake or on the slip. We want to reflect on what went wrong. So use this as an opportunity for learning, for advancement, for improvement, for tweaking, right? When we talk about crafting or positioning setbacks as opportunities, here's an opportunity. What went wrong? What in the process, right? So not that I did wrong, but what in the process did not help me avoid this slip up? So now let me review what I'm doing, review how I'm doing it, review my resources, review the routines that I have. It gives me a chance to overhaul, if you will, the things that I'm doing so that I can be more, so they can be more beneficial to me, and I can set myself up for better possibility of being successful in the future. And then we want to focus on what we can control. Yeah, that one comes up all the time, right? Because we tend to want to focus on those things that are out of our control. Like, I can't control the weather. I can't control how you behave. I can't control, there's a myriad of things I can't control, but we want to try to control that because it gives us a sense of safety, right? Because if we can control it, then yeah. But there are things that you cannot control. And so understanding that and focusing on the things that I can control. I can control when I go to bed. Yes, I can. I can control when I get the rest or how much rest I get. I have to change some things around. It may be difficult. It may be anxiety provoking sometimes. But if I can do that, and I can wake up in the morning, and I could bookend, and I could be mindful, I could be present, then I set myself up for success, right? But if I don't do that, if I don't focus on the things I can control and try to control things that are beyond me, then I get frustrated. My energies are being put in the wrong place because there's nothing I can do about it. And I am wasting time, right? Much of what we have, much of what we do has time attached to it. And so I'm spending my time thinking about something and working on something that I can't fix, I can't change, then I'm wasting time, and time is being compressed. And remember, when I'm compressing time, what am I doing? I'm actually creating anxiety. I'm creating difficulties for myself. So make sure that you are focusing on the things that you can control. And then you want to reaffirm your why. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo, yay. Right? That's why that why is so important, because the why tells me the reason that I'm going through this, the reason I'm doing this, the reason I'm getting up in the morning, the reason I'm walking, the reason I'm trying to be healthy, the reason I'm trying to control and reverse my diabetes. The why sets me up for that eventuality. The why gives me the wind beneath my wings, right? So reaffirm your why. Look back at it, reevaluate it. I want you to touch it and feel it and smell it and taste it, right? Is it still valid? If it is, come on, let's get to it. Let's put that back and get back in the saddle to do the things that we know we need to do. And then take immediate action. Sometimes when we have a slip, the tendency is to say, well, what the heck, right? I've already had a slip, so let me ride this train. And we ride and we ride and we ride, And then we look up and it's 2, 3, 4 months later, it's a year later, it's 2 years later, and we are still in the same spot, or worse, because we had a slip, because something happened back when that we thought about, we processed, but we didn't take action. Remember, something on a paper, yeah, that doesn't do anything. It's just an idea. But when you get up and you take action, then you are moving in a direction. You may have to pivot, you may have to change, you may have to be flexible, you may have to come up with a different plan, but you are moving. Remember, move a muscle, change a thought. When we move, when we are in motion, then we have a bigger, better possibility, better chance of being successful because we're moving in that direction. The best way to bounce back from a slip up is to take action. Okay, one of my good friends, I was walking with him, and he's a pastor, and I said to him, I said, what's your secret for success? Because he's a pretty successful fella. And he said, I move. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I think about something, I pray about it, and then I move. I said, do you wait for an answer? He said, I'll get my answer as I'm moving. He said, I can't be changed. My direction can't change if I'm standing still. But if I'm moving, then I already have momentum when I need to go in a different direction. When I need to pivot, I'm already moving, right? Maybe I've already got some things in place. I've got a structure in place. Maybe I'm not doing this over here, but I'm doing something else, but I have the structure. I have the resources already in place because I'm moving. And so I want you to...
Time, 23 minutes, 38 seconds. Total distance, 1.0 miles. Average pace, 23 minutes, 37 seconds per mile. Split pace, 23 minutes, 37 seconds per mile.
All right, so you heard there heard the app. Yeah, so he said, I'm moving. So how do we strengthen our bounce back muscles? How do we strengthen our bounce back muscles? And this can be an interesting process, right? This can be an interesting space for some people. But here it is. One, we want to develop a resilient mindset. So the mindset that we have is our outlook. It is the thing that drives us. It is the perspective that we have. And so we want to develop a mindset that says that we can. We have to develop a mindset that says that something happened, yes, but that doesn't dictate where I go. Something happened, but yes, I can change. Yes, I can be better. You may have heard me talk about the unlimited potential that we have within us. And that unlimited potential is part of that mindset, because you have to have a mindset that says that things around me may not be working, but that doesn't mean that I give up. That doesn't mean that I can't succeed. I've just got to find a way. Okay? So one, you want to develop a resilient mindset. Then you want to plan for setbacks. If you don't understand that it's going to happen, then you don't plan. And if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. Right? It's happening. It's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And so you want to have a process in place for getting back in the saddle. So when life throws you a curveball, the question is, what do you have in place? Do you have an accountability partner? Do you have an accountability group? Do you have a counselor? Do you have a coach? Someone that you can turn to and say, hey, listen, this is what's going on, right? And that coach is a check, because they can now come alongside and say, okay, it's been a week, it's been 2 weeks, it's been 3 weeks. Okay, what are we doing? We can't stay in this spot. Otherwise, we will stay there, right? Because we're still processing, we're still going over and over and over and over. But come up with a plan. What is going to be your plan when you do have a setback? And then you want to celebrate recovery. Man, If you have been walking 100 days and it's now 28 days, 29 days, right? We're on day number 29 now. And you've missed a day, missed 2 days, maybe you missed a week. And you get up and today you walked. That's a celebration. That's amazing. A lot of people say, well, I missed a week and I only walked 1 day. What? Are you kidding me? I'm excited. I'm celebrating because that's one more day in my bag that I've done. Okay? So I want you to celebrate, even if those wins you think they're small. Get back in there. Say, hey, call your accountability partner. Call a friend. Call a brother, sister, mama, somebody, and say, look, I was feeling a little down a couple weeks ago and I missed a week, but I want to let you know that today I successfully completed my walk for today. I successfully completed my workbook, my work page. I successfully completed my challenge, right? So celebrate your recovery. If you missed the workout, don't let that throw you. I want you to celebrate getting back on track, celebrating those recovery from the slips. This is a pivotal skill. This is a pivotal thought and topic because we know it's going to happen. And so how we recover is so vital to what we do and so vital to our success. Now, we've had that conversation and now it's time for our challenge. You ready for the challenge? You ready for the challenge? So here's the challenge for today. And the challenge for today is to bounce back with confidence. We're bouncing back with confidence. So you ready? Here it is. You got your journal out? Let's go. So number one, I want you to reflect on a recent slip up. All right, we've all had them. So what is your most recent slip up? Is it not getting up, not sticking to your meal plan? You're procrastinating on something. You missed a day in the 100-day walk. Whatever it is, I want you to reflect on that and think about the time. Think of how that felt. Think about what was going on. I want you to identify a lesson from that. Remember we said that we're setting these things up, these setbacks, we're setting them up as opportunities for reflection, for growth. But I want you to think, what is one thing that I've learned? What is one opportunity or one lesson that I've learned? And I want you to write it down, okay? So setback, you've written down. The opportunity or the lesson you learned, you've written it down. And then you want to take some immediate action in the direction of that lesson that you've learned. If you learned that you need a better calendar system, then let's get a better calendar system. If you learn that you need more resources, you need an accountability partner, you need a support group, you need to get a journal, you need to go in your house and take out those Ben & Jerry's ice cream. I'm not sure where that one came to my mind. Right? So I want you to take immediate action. Don't let that go. And then I want you to celebrate because that action that you just took, that's your bounce back. I want you to hear what I just said. So we've identified the things. We've identified the lesson we've learned, and we've just taken action. And that action that we just took is our bounce back. So we're going to celebrate that right now, right here. Okay? So we're not waiting till next week. We're not waiting, right? You just took some action in the direction of your health, and that is a celebration. And we want to make sure that we are honoring those and we're having a good time with them. Oh yeah. This is so exciting for us. So I want to make sure that you are doing those things you need to do. So bouncing back after a bad day is so crucial. It's so important to what we do and how we do it. It's not the mistakes that we make. It's not the slip-ups that we have, but it's how we recover that really is the marker of how successful we're going to be. And so this is a crucial conversation. It's a crucial thought that we've had today. Bouncing back. Make sure you go back, stop the video, watch it again, and make sure that you are working through the challenge, because that's an opportunity for you to practice what we're learning. Before I go, I always have to say, make sure you're taking the time to get into the space of being successful. Don't let those worksheets just sit on the shelf. Don't let them just be on your computer. Get out there, work through them, take the time. When you're done, you are setting yourself up, you are creating a manual for your success that you can now apply to so many different other places, so many different phases of your life. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode, that's Wood with an E, and I'm so glad that you joined me today for this, my 100-day walk to consistency. Tomorrow, you'll join me for day number 29, right? Don't miss it. We'll see you on the walk. All right, see you later.